Now, ABC 7 News at noon. On your side. We begin with a breaking news alert.
And that breaking news is from Bowie, where a small plane crashed on Route 50 near Church Road. SkyTrack 7's over the scene right now. Freeport Airport is right by Route 50. Now, our Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell just got on the scene. And Brad, what can you tell us?
I tell you, it's an amazing scene. You say we just got here. It is really something to see. Just look across the travel lanes, and you can see that single-engine aircraft. I believe it's a Beechcraft. We're told it was taking off when, for whatever reason, it ran into trouble. Now, we're going to go ahead and pan to the right and show you the rest of this. There is a car that was traveling eastbound on 50 that was clipped by the airplane. Now, there's a wing from that aircraft near that car. It appears that the front of the vehicle was badly damaged, but the passenger compartment is virtually intact. We understand 4 people involved in this incident, 2 on the plane, 2 in the car, only 2 minor injuries to report. Prince George County Fire Chief Ben Barksdale is with us now. Chief, you described this as a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's busy as 50 is, and the plane taking off, and yeah, for it to hit a car and to have no one killed, no critical injuries, absolutely a miracle.
What did you find when you got here? Was there an entrapment, anything of that sort?
The pilots were still in the plane. People were still in the car, but they weren't trapped. They were just stunned, if you will. And
2 men with gray T-shirts were the people that were in this plane. Certainly going to want to talk to them, but they're going to have quite a story to tell, because what a terrible time. They were on takeoff when something happened to that aircraft, and yet, as you see it, the fuselage, the passenger compartment, entirely intact. They are up and talking, having a drink of water. I'm sure they're rattled, but you know, a bad crash involving 2 vehicles, an airplane and a car, but only minor injuries. He made a bouncing motion. So apparently this plane was bouncing, whether it was bouncing on the runway and skipped over the fence and out on the 50 here, or it skipped down the roadway, we just don't know. But, you know, based on the angle that it was going, it would appear that it was skipping, and didn't have a whole lot of speed when it got to this point. And then spinning around, luckily, because look at it, the nose cone is not even dented. The nose cone in front of the propeller's dented, but not the nose cone.
Here's what we know a little bit about the aircraft, according to the documents that we have received. This is a 1978 fixed-wing, single-engine Mooney M20J. Current registration is up to date. Seems like it was safe and up to date in the regulations and safe to be in the air. Now, there are listed 2 owners of this aircraft, a Derek Early of Greenbelt, Maryland, and then NASA GSFC Flying Club out of Crownsville, Maryland. Also on this document, a gentleman by the name of Michael Gara, listed as a partial owner. So obviously we do not know who was at the controls when this took off and then crashed onto the freeway, but we do know those are the official listed owners. Again, Brad, you also heard mention other incidents at this airport, Freeport Airport. Brad mentioned this earlier, 2 other crashes we have found recently. May of 2016, there was an incident at this airport that it did affect Route 50. And then in September of 2013, there was also an incident coming out of Freeport Airport that affected traffic on US 15. So we mentioned there are the traffic signs even that show and warn drivers that there is a possibility of air traffic in the area.
So my suggestions to you, if you are coming from the Beltway, this will be the trip home this afternoon, plan on using 214 over to 301. You can reconnect with 50 well past this accident scene. And then for those coming westbound headed back into D.C., you can take 197 over to 450. You can use that as a workaround. That will save you a lot of time. But again, NTSB isn't even there yet. Once they get there, they will conduct their investigation. You do have 2 authorities there on the scene as well, with state police and county officials as well. Fire and rescue units are still there. So this is an ongoing investigation that is likely to last throughout the remainder of your afternoon commute.
I just got to Freeway Airport now, so we're basically between the taxiway and the end of the runway, and looking across at the point of impact and at the airplane now. I just talked to the management of the airport, and they're telling me a little bit more than we heard before, and that is that the men in the plane actually were able to get out and run to the people in the car to see if they were okay. again, we're getting a different vantage point of this aircraft now, looking at it, you know, broadside, and you can see the wings are gone, but the rest of the airplane seems fine. From first responders to those involved with the crash, everyone looking at this scene, calling it a miracle. Nobody was seriously hurt. Most of all, the two men who walked away from the plane after the crash.
It's a blessing.
We're just lucky that we survived okay. Yeah, I think, you know, it's a learning experience to, you know, hopefully it won't happen again.
Michael Guerra was the passenger, Warren Tolson the pilot. He says they ran into problems during takeoff from Freeway Airport.
It's a little bit of an instrumentation issue on the takeoff, and made a decision to abort the takeoff. That's what happened.
Guerra says they were trying to control the plane right up until impact. He says they skidded onto Route 50, clipping that car, sending it into the Jersey Wall. Fortunately, the two men in the car suffering only minor injuries. The pilot's acutely aware this whole episode could have had a very different outcome.
Could have got hit by a tractor trailer, and like you said, the way that the plane spun, I think it absorbed a lot of the energy, like the wings kind of hit things and absorbed the energy and everything, so I think we're obviously really lucky.
As the sun sets on Freeway Airport in Bowie, the future of this very airfield remains uncertain as well. Coincidentally, on the very same day a plane, moments after takeoff, crashed on nearby Highway 50, hitting a car.
I'm glad I'm not hurt. I'm blessed that we're not hurt.
Pilot Warren Tolson and passenger Michael Guerra were aboard the small aircraft when Tolson says he aborted the flight soon after leaving the runway, which is very close to this busy roadway. Amazingly, neither man was injured, and authorities say the two people in the car also survived, sustaining non-life-threatening injuries.
So we're happy to hear that they weren't hurt seriously or anything like that. So.
Just this week, a hearing was held in Prince George's County to discuss a proposal for the airport to be replaced by new housing. The owners of the airport testified during Tuesday's hearing that they support selling the property to a developer after years of financial struggle. One local resident, while he supports residential growth, is opposed to townhouses coming here. He does admit the timing is ironic.
We're glad there was no loss of life, but we still need to resolve this, get rid of the airport, and put something that's more appropriate.
One speaker at this hearing just 2 days ago, an aviation expert, noted his concern about safety at the airport.
It's not a matter of if the next accident will happen, it's when.
As for the crash, the pilot tells us that instrumentation problems led him to abort the takeoff. The exact cause of the crash remains under investigation by federal officials. In Bowie, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.